Hey everyone, it's Gus Karras coming to you from Athens, Greece, spring 2018 study abroad semester. With our time here in the country winding down and us having less than half a week before we have to head home, I've gotten a chance to reflect on my time here and all the incredible friends and experiences I've gained along the way. The main reason why I decided to come to Athens is that my father's side of the family is actually 100% Greek, with my grandfather coming over to America from Greece back in the early 1900s. That, combined with my love of travel and always wanting to study in another country, made it a no-brainer for me to come abroad. So that being said, let's look into all the adventures, misadventures, and lessons learned along the way. We spent the first 2 weeks here getting to know the city we would be living in for the next 4 months and the people we would be doing it with. After getting comfortable, or as comfortable as we could, we set our eyes outside the country and began making travel plans. Our first stop out to the country was Bucharest, Romania. This was an extremely insightful experience as it gave us the chance to see the effects of communism on a city and its people up close, even 20 years after the fact, something that never before I had been able to do. Though it was still a beautiful city, it did give me an appreciation for being raised in a country such as the US, an appreciation one can only get from seeing how bad some people have it firsthand. While we were abroad, we also had the opportunity to go on school-led trips to different towns and sites within Greece itself, with one of my favorites being Nafplio, a beautiful seaside town overlooked by a medieval Venetian fort. After spending some time back in Athens, we set off for Amsterdam, the capital of the Netherlands. Between the gorgeous canals, millions of bikes, and a Chainsmokers concert, Amsterdam's high on my list of one of the most interesting and coolest places I've ever visited. As a travel destination, I would highly recommend it for anyone looking for having a cool, unique adventure, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if I find my way back to Amsterdam in the future. Well, I'm recording this and a mini earthquake just hit Athens, so that was pretty cool. Well, back to the story. While in Amsterdam, myself and one other friend took an early morning bus to Brussels, Belgium, and spent the day enjoying the music, architecture, and of course the waffles, which are even better than I had hoped. Soon after our return from this trip, I was contacted by my mother's mentor from when she was an Army ROTC in college, retired Colonel Joe Bost, a former helicopter pilot. He invited me to come spend a weekend with him and his wife in Garmisch, Germany, right on the border of both Austria and Italy and home of the Bavarian Alps. This was an amazing experience because not only do I love skiing and this would give me the chance to ski the Alps, something I've always wanted to do, but I was also able to talk with the colonel one-on-one multiple times over the course of the weekend and have him impart invaluable advice upon me through his own experience that I could use once I began my career as a United States officer after I graduated. Perhaps one of the most memorable and funniest moments of the trip, however, was when Colonel Bost threw us all in the car and told us we were going to have a sightseeing day. After a few hours on the road, I started to notice the signs say Venice, and I asked him about it, and turns out he was taking us to the island city itself. Venice itself was gorgeous, and I had an amazing time. Colonel Bost and his wife Gina are incredible people, and I enjoyed every moment I was with them. I was able to take away many valuable lessons, not only on how to lead and how to be successful within the Army, but also just how to be a good person. Towards the middle of the semester, we found ourselves one weekend with nothing to do, so we hopped on a train and headed north to Kalambaka, Greece. Here, we were able to visit the monasteries at Meteora, cliff-top monasteries built hundreds of years ago, and that were absolutely breathtaking in every sense of the word. For anyone visiting Greece in the future, I'd highly recommend this. At this point in the semester, we had seen and experienced things that some people only dream of. However, we would soon find out that things only got better. Next stop on our list was Berlin, Germany, which actually would turn out to be the best city that I've ever visited. The sights here were fascinating, and the history that surrounded them was rich and very evident, with relics of a past where the city was divided into still very prevalent in modern times. At one point, I even ran into a Pro Bowl lineman from the Oakland Raiders in the bathroom of the Olympic Stadium during the soccer match. We became quick friends and even hung out that night at a local bar, sharing a few drinks and some funny stories. I loved everything this city had to offer, and I felt a real connection with the people in it. I'll definitely be back in the future. 2 weeks later, a few friends of mine and I were sitting around the apartment on a Thursday afternoon and suddenly got an alert that prices had dropped dramatically for flights to Budapest that would depart the very next day. So we did what any rational person would do in this situation. We immediately bought the tickets, and in less than 15 hours later, we were sitting on a plane headed to Hungary. The spontaneity of this trip pushed me out of my comfort zone a little bit, but in the end, that's what I loved most about it. It was a great trip, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Spring break came soon after, and with it came my parents and both my younger brothers, who flew over to Athens to visit me for 10 days. I was extremely excited to see them, and we spent the first 2 days showing them around Athens itself. On the third day of their visit, we boarded a ferry, and 7 hours later, we arrived at a place that was detached from reality and the outside world, Santorini. Our time spent exploring the island was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We hiked an active volcano, swam in the waters heated by it, and found picturesque scene after picturesque scene. For someone who likes photography and the raw beauty of gorgeous landscapes, it was an absolute playground for me. My brothers and I spent a few of the evenings and nights climbing rooftop to rooftop in search of places where the already awe-inspiring beauty of the island was at its peak. One of the most special moments of the entire semester, however, came when we visited the village of Kataia, Greece. This village is actually the one where my great-grandfather immigrated over from back in the early 1900s. The coolest part of it all was the fact that we still had family members here in the village, ones that I'd never met before in my entire life. This experience was something that I'll take with me forever, and I'll make sure that I come back to visit the family that I still have. After the 10 days were up, and my parents and brothers were on their way back to the States, we still had another 9 days of spring break left. So, my friends TJ, Rohit, and I set off for Rome, Italy. I absolutely love history, especially the history of the Roman Empire, so being here in the middle of it all was absolutely breathtaking. We nerded out a little bit, and yes, we did have to take this picture so we could say we fought in the Roman Colosseum. And yes, we did get a few weird looks. Afterwards, we made a quick stop by the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel to say hello to old Pope Francis before hopping on a train to Florence. Florence was an experience and a half. For the food and wine, there are no words that can do them justice. It's just one of those things you have to experience for yourself. Florence as a whole actually reminded me a lot of Charleston in a way, with both being very clean and having a cozy, small city feel to them. The last stop on our spring break tour of 2018 was the island country of Malta, a country so small that we were able to traverse the entire thing in less than an hour and a half by bus. It's very unique in a sense that it's a mixing pot of a multitude of cultures, including those from North Africa, the Arabic Peninsula, and Christian Europe, all coming together and actually living in harmony. It's a beautiful country and has a rich history that dates back all the way to prehistoric times. And what better way to finish off spring break than by sipping a few drinks out of pineapples at Malta's Blue Lagoon with some of the clearest water that I've ever seen in my entire life. As the semester comes to a close and our departure date quickly approaches, I sit back and think about all the good times we've had this semester, all the experiences, all the people and places we've met and been to, and all the dreams we've helped make reality. I want to thank the friends I made this semester. Thank you guys for making it as much fun as humanly possible. Thank you for showing me a good time. Thank you for always being there for me. And thank you for always showing me that the best way to travel is with others. I also want to thank my parents. Thank you for inspiring me to travel and see the world. And thank you for supporting me. Thank you for helping make this happen. I want to thank the Study Abroad office back at the Citadel. Without you guys orchestrating all this wouldn't have been a reality. The more I've traveled, the more I've realized how little of the world I've actually seen. So moving forward, I'm going to use this as an inspiration. This semester will not be the end of my travels. And if anything, it's just the beginning.